Welcome back, everybody, to the show this evening. We start again with Juneteenth. Yesterday was Juneteenth, commemorating the end of slavery. And something that I said yesterday and again on the morning show today was, I thought there were some things that we could all agree on. I get that we disagree on basic facts like election results. I get we disagree on woke or DEI or trans. We disagree on plenty of things, the big beautiful bill, etc. But I thought we would all agree that, hey, getting rid of slavery, that should be celebrated, right? And this is now the latest MAGA culture war, I guess, which is saying Juneteenth yesterday, June 19th, should not be celebrated. It should not be a federal holiday. I will bring to you the arguments from them so we can try to figure out what even are they saying. Surely it can't just be go slavery. Like that can't be the argument, right? Surely. But interestingly, I have a video of Melania that's very fascinating within the context. We'll get to that. But first, what's the history of Juneteenth? Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865. That was when Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced that over 250,000 enslaved people were freed more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued by President Abraham Lincoln and declared slaves in Confederate states were free. Originally celebrated by newly freed black communities in Texas, with religious services, barbecues, and symbolic traditions like discarding clothing worn during enslavement, the holiday has grown beyond Texas and the South. So I'm being a little bit, I'm reiterating this a little bit, but isn't that sort of, yes, that's a federal holiday right there. We have these debates about Columbus, right? Columbus Day, and then some people call it Indigenous Peoples Day. And President's Day, well, a lot of the presidents I don't really like. We're going to celebrate President's Day. But Juneteenth, hello, perfect federal holiday, as happened under Biden federally. But many MAGAs disagree. Charlie Kirk posting this TikTok.
Okay, everybody, a lot of people are going to be saying Happy Juneteenth. It should not be a federal holiday, and I'm on my way to work. Have a good day.
He's very brave. I'm on my way to work because I got to work 7 days a week. The only people who work in this office are going to find this funny, but Jade made a custom soundbite just for this.
Charlie Kirk wanted to make Juneteenth illegal.
Yeah. He just finds that they wanted to make comedy illegal. Soundbite.
Legalize comedy.
Very funny. So then just one other thing before getting to what Melania has to do with this. You have Caroline Leavitt being asked and going, I don't have any things to update you on as per the question, which relates to Juneteenth and Trump celebrating it, which, by the way, he didn't. He decided to not celebrate Juneteenth and instead post about how we should have less federal holidays. But Juneteenth apparently is the first one that should be on the chopping block because American workers just get too many days off. Notably, the problem I think we all have is that people don't work enough in this country. Sheesh.
Just one more on Juneteenth. Does the president plan to commemorate the holiday today or make any comment on it?
I'm not tracking his signature on a proclamation today. I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now. Nikki, go.
Trump golfs so much, but he has the gall to say too many non-working holidays in America. It's costing our country billions of dollars to keep all of the businesses closed. The workers, and this was on Juneteenth, the workers don't want it either. Soon we'll end up having a holiday for every once working day of the year. It must change if we're going to make America great again. That's fascinating. Now, apparently, according to Trump, the thing preventing us from making America great again is too many holidays. People don't work enough. Even though we've seen productivity up to the sky, still people don't work enough. And his own followers were really upset with him. We went over in the morning show. So with that context in mind, we will loop back around and look at why because I don't want to ever straw man people's argument, right? So I'll show you what they're saying They would never say, I don't generally think we should celebrate the end of slavery. Some of them do actually say, well, sure, slavery wasn't good, but it was worse that the federal big government, big brother government tried to force the abolition onto people. So some of them really do have we shouldn't have abolished slavery. It should have been up to the states to figure out if they abolish it or not. But that's not even really their argument. We'll get to it. But first, go no further than Melania Trump, who herself, back when she was first lady the first go round, celebrated this. The clip is Patriot Takes highlighting it. Melania acknowledged Juneteenth in 2020. Now Trump's White House ignores and threatens the holiday, which marks the end of slavery.
My dear citizens, today we celebrate Juneteenth, the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States. As our country works through the racial issues that we still face today, it is important to remember we are one global community.
Can you imagine her releasing a video like this today? That's how far things have gotten in just a few years. Now they won't even celebrate Juneteenth, and they definitely aren't going to say we still deal with racial problems. Before playing more, though, what is this? What is this video? I really agree with the substance, but podcast listeners will not be able to see this, but it's a camera shot from like 13 miles away. So she's so far in the distance. And so what you're hearing is we celebrate Juneteenth. What I'm seeing is you're poor. That's what look at how grand these huge, and everything's gold. She's saying we're still dealing with racial issues. What she's showing is you're a peasant. I'm richer than you. That's what's coming through in this video. I love you is what she's saying. She's showing I hate you and you're poor. Okay? That's what this camera shot looks like. Let them eat Juneteenth.
Global community. Let's all agree that any differences we have should be celebrated and learned from.
Whoa.
Today, I will be thinking about my trip to Ghana in West Africa, where I was so moved to take a tour of the House of Slaves and step through the door of no return, a memorial to the Atlantic slave trade. My hope for everyone today is that by understanding and reflecting upon even the worst part of our country's past, we can commit to lifting each other up and celebrating the freedom we all deserve.
This would, if I posted this video, if Joe Biden posted this video, they would call just a few years later that woke and DEI and racial pandering and identity politics. They would call that. So, first, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. It's free. Second, and then we have a lot more to look at, we're doing a live show, and you need to be there if you're anywhere in the Austin area. Yes, thank you. Stop it, please. Okay, all right. Austin, Texas, July 5th. So July 4th, July 5th is the next day after July 4th. And the next day after July 4th is July 5th. And that's when we're doing it. And you're going to be there. It's going to be great. We have lots of fun things planned. I'll meet everyone who comes. The VIP tickets sold out, but regular general admission, every seat in the house is going to be great. LukeBeasShow.com/live, and that's linked in the description. So I asked ChatGPT because I never want to, what has caused our political discourse to get so icky is that this side strawmans this side and then this side strawmans this way. Meaning they create the weakest possible argument and then they argue against that instead of what people are actually saying. So let's not do the they just like slavery argument. Let's see what it is. I asked ChatGPT and then we'll look at Charlie Kirk explaining. Why? For why was my question. And ChatGPT said they see it as politically motivated or woke. So this is ChatGPT. This is not me. That sounds like I'm making fun of them. That's what ChatGPT is saying. Some conservatives believe Juneteenth's federal recognition in 2021 was part of a broader woke or left-wing agenda focused on identity politics and race. If by identity politics you mean the identity that was relevant to the slavery, yeah. They argue it's being used to divide Americans rather than unite them. You heard Melania. We can unite around how we triumphed as a people. They argue it's being, a few say it's meant to diminish the 4th of July. Now that's the one I heard Charlie Kirk say, which is that the left-wing deep state cabal, they want to use Juneteenth, or they argue Juneteenth is the real Independence Day, because how can you say that we were founded on the principles and we were declaring our independence based on these principles if they were being violated upon the founding, which they were, obviously, and that Juneteenth is supposed to replace the July 4th. But it's not, though. Do you think you're going to take away from us barbecuing, beering, and fireworking? No. So, of course, we could celebrate both. Heck, I'd love to do those activities on June 19th and July 4th. As if having another day that recognizes a really important thing that happened would then make people go, I just can't do July 5th now. They associate it with Democrats or anti-Trump sentiment. That's your problem. I love that. I just feel like it really gives an anti-Trump message celebrating the end of slavery. Really? I didn't think so. Juneteenth gained prominence during Black Lives Matter protests in Trump's presidency. Okay, but I read you the history. It went back a long time. Before I was alive. Barely before Biden was alive. Some supporters link it to the Democratic Party, anti-police protests, or racial justice movements they disagree with. Trump's own shifting stance on Juneteenth from promoting it in 2020 to criticizing federal holidays in 2025 reinforced partisan framing. And then I don't want to read this one because MAGAs would be really upset, but it says lack of education or misunderstanding. That's mean, ChatGPT. So before Charlie Kirk, just remember, to my point, let's celebrate Independence Day, July 5th, and let's celebrate a liberation of people and a righting of one of the worst historical wrongs, Biden style. Hit that. So if you haven't seen someone stand that still for that long during such a vibrant song, then you haven't lived. You haven't lived, ladies and gentlemen. So let's now check in. What is he arguing here? It's so bizarre. Charlie, right here. I guess this is what convinced Trump not to celebrate it.
Some of you will be listening to this episode as it airs on Juneteenth. The heck is Juneteenth? It depends who you ask, okay? But let's talk about what it actually is. And we opposed Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday.
Trump called for it to be a federal holiday back in 2020, by the way.
As it happened. And yes, it is the day that it is mandatory to work at Turning Point USA. We're going to talk about it actually on the day. I say we're given multiple days off for our actual Independence Day, July 4th, 1776. Why is Juneteenth a problem? Not because, again, it's so subversive. On its face value, I have no problem with it. I think it's wonderful to say, okay, liberation of slaves, all that good stuff. No. The issue is that the entire point of it, as per postmodernists do and deconstructionists, is to subvert July 4th. That has always been the agenda. That there is a Black Independence Day and a National Independence Day.
Wait! Take this down. How could it be just a Black Independence Day if... How?
Same way that they have a Black national anthem that plays before NFL games. That they have Black-only dormitories and Black-only math classes. It is a neo-segregationist federal holiday.
Dude, it's literally about slavery ending. Stop. I'm sure some leftists online said this should be the only Independence Day we celebrate because we weren't really independent if people were enslaved, right? We weren't free. We're celebrating freedom on July 4th. We weren't really free as a complete people, right? So I'm sure people make that argument, but can we just do both? Let's do both. That's mine. That's my big brained idea. And every other person celebrating it. You think Joe Biden wants to get rid of July 4th? Come on. July 4th is his Super Bowl. He loves that. He eats it up. Independence Day, listen, folks, we're going to be free. Liberty. Now let's dance. All right, I'm sweaty. That's it. Just, you know what I love too? People like Charlie Kirk do this a lot. It's looking into the most obscure interpretations of a day like this, or any argument. You find some obscure thing, and then you say, that's really what they're trying to do. And instead of going, I like Juneteenth because it celebrates the ending of slavery, but I just don't want us to get rid of July 4th. It has to be, I have to advocate for making Juneteenth illegal, as Elon would say. I have to advocate for that instead of just being reasonable and going, hey, I want both. I want both. Just have both. And we're not going to take away, we're not like, you're not going to take away the most American food, right? Of tacos. From Americans, right? True American food, like tacos or pizza or burgers, real white people food. We're not going to take that away. And similarly, we're not going to take away July 4th. It's all of us celebrating independence. And then a month earlier, a little bit shorter than a month earlier, we celebrate us living up to at least one of the principles we said we were going to abide by that we very much didn't whenever we started the country. Eek. And he also doesn't like MLK, but not because of...
We note in our piece that Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true. And Kirk's self-described very, very radical view that the country made a mistake when it passed the Civil Rights Act. Also true. As we note in the piece, Kirk has previously described Kirk as a hero and a civil rights icon. It's true. I used to be wrong. What inspired Kirk to shift his view on MLK? Why does Kirk think that MLK is a bad guy? When Kirk says that MLK says, quote, one good thing he didn't believe, what does he mean by that? Why does Kirk believe passing the Civil Rights Act was a mistake? Now, again, apparently they don't listen to the show because we do that at least once a week, right? Once a week we talk.
Just trying to help you, Charlie. Oh, what? You think I'm like you think I'm crazy for not liking that anyone recognizes MLK's contribution to the civil rights movement? What, you think I'm some guy who's against civil rights? Is that what you think? I am. That was his argument. Oh, what? You think it's because I'm against the civil rights movement? Yeah, that.
Beta.
He probably... That was Charlie Kirk. Probably he says it's because states' rights. I don't even know. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Watch this segue.
I want your thoughts. And I wanted to make sure that, after that conversation, we talk about the positives. And then we also get into some of the other implications of this. We're a truth-seeking show. But I can say declaratively, this guy is not worthy of a national holiday. He is not worthy of godlike status. In fact, I think it's...
Who's putting a godlike status?
Really harmful. What do we have, guys? Rough Greens? Roughgreens.com. You've heard me talk about Rough Greens. Now it's literally helping thousands of dogs feel better and live longer.
I love that. MLK, listen, everything you thought you knew about the civil rights was wrong. And frankly, I wish we could go back to 1940. I do, really do. And MLK, we shouldn't have MLK Day. I really believe that. What is this? What is this? For 10% off of erectile dysfunction medication, you can use the promo code BANMLK. This is the world we're in. We used to have these common truths. And it's not about MLK being a perfect guy in his personal life. It's just people want a leader of a movement to stand for what that movement accomplished. But I guess he doesn't like what the movement accomplished, so there we go. And we don't have these common truths anymore. Like just let's all look past our political differences, link arms, and celebrate. Have a good time celebrating the ending of slavery. Share thoughts in the comments.